Hello and welcome to 7th Tier, a brand new Storybook Brawl podcast focused on strategy and high-level play. My name is Jethro and I am joined by your friend and mine, the best storybook player I know, fresh off his top 5 finish at the October qualifier. It's Matt, aka Sythesys. Matt, how is it going?
Hello. Yeah, good. Obviously, very happy with my tournament finish. Excited to be in the November championships and so on. And yeah, looking forward to getting on with this podcast.
Yeah, should be good. This is a brand new podcast. I figured we'd open with our stats from the last 7 days of playing. So this is my tournament prep and my relatively short tournament from the weekend. So in the last week, I have played 58 matches.
Oh my god.
With 36 top fours and 10 crowns for an average finish of 3.82.
Okay.
Which I'm quite pleased with.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
That's the highest it's been since I started recording stats.
Sure. I have played significantly fewer games. I had played 6 games on this patch before the tournament. I did play all of the rounds, all 15 rounds, so I'm up to 21 total games, 5 crowns, and an average placement of 3.09. It's pretty good.
3.09, that is completely insane. Which heroes have been treating you well in this patch?
I will highlight how ridiculously small these sample sizes are, but according to the stats, Pied Piper is in number 1 with 100% crown rates. I had to purchase Pied Piper during the top 32 of the tournament, as I had never played a game with them before. But I do think they're much stronger this patch than they used to be.
Had you already got your gem prizes by that point?
Yes, if I had not, I would not have been able to purchase Pied Piper, which is great. Yeah, I think it's strong. Very consistently win your first fights now. Like, you have extra stats on turn 1 and turn 2, equivalent of, Mrs. Claus or whatever, but you also see an additional minion in the shop. You're way less likely to be offered, 1-1-1-1-1. You're guaranteed to get those stats, which Krampus and Mrs. Claus can't.
Yeah, it's impossible to lose to a 1-1 on turn 1, right?
Yeah.
Unless you really wanted to.
Yeah, unless you hated the minion you're offered somehow. Yeah, and then easy triples, obviously a relatively strong level 6 hero power, consistently finding good boys and bearsteins, and big pigs, like, that's a good place to go. I think I actually ended up playing Royals in my Pied Piper game, but that's not the point.
I mean, one of the things that stands out to me about the game in general is there's so many good animals at just every tier of the game.
Yes.
And that stood out to me in the Pied Piper games. Like, Waddle, we know Waddle is great. And we know Avella is great because they get the strong early game animals and they're especially good in their comps.
Yeah.
And then that sort of falls off when you build to a late game comp. But actually, if you're being offered an extra hippocampus in the shop or an extra good boy in the shop, that's insanely powerful in the mid to late game. Even baby bears. Baby bears will get you there.
Yeah, and kind of similarly to Wonderwaddle, there's actually just a bunch of really good utility animals. Polywoggles, chickens. If you go mages, Animal Familiar is a very easy on-ramp to that strategy. Yeah, there's a bunch of very powerful things you can do, and the small stat boost makes a huge difference to that, to making it not a hero power that was wasn't really doing anything until it kicked in. Yeah, I like Pied Piper. Otherwise, the top hasn't changed that much for me. Skip, still incredible, still consistently performs in the tournament. A lot of people say it's first or 8th with Skip, but that is not what my stats show. It's just first a lot. Miri continues to still be good. Not too many heroes have moved around. Avella's gone down. Sad Drak is significantly down from the previous patch.
I miss Broken Sad Drak, but I'm glad he's no longer with us.
Any standouts from your statistics?
Pied Piper also stands out to me 100%, but with twice as many games in the sample size as you have. So we'll wait till next week to check in on whether or not either of us have ever lost playing Pied Piper. Yeah, I've got to stand out in the other direction. I was going to highlight my terrible performance with Merlin. Sure. I've played Merlin 3 times on this patch, and my average placement is 6th, with no crowns, no top 4s. Other people, I see Merlin in their top tier lists.
I'm also quite low on Merlin. Like, that was actually, like, we had some in the top 32, top 8 discussion. A bunch of people were like, here are 4 really good heroes. Which one would you pick? And some people were suggesting Merlin, and I was like, I can't believe, like, they were like Merlin over Loki or whatever, and that blew my mind. I used to be quite high on Merlin, and my stats were saying he was below my average win rate, and I have since been like, reevaluating, I don't really like him. And that's interesting, especially on a patch where I'm very high on Hatball. Like, I want to be mages a decent percentage of the time. I don't think Merlin's one of the better heroes to do that on, and his backup plan is kind of bad.
What's the backup plan as Merlin? Just have some stats early?
Yeah, just take the powerful minions that you see and happen to cast spells when they're free or whatever. Take a Moonsong Horn and don't worry about it too hard. Not enough, play like your Charon or whatever, right? Try and get +2/+1 every turn. It's not enough stats. It's not good enough.
Cool. Well, we'll check back in with the heroes and with our stats next week. So we hinted there, spoilers, that you've played a lot of rounds of a tournament over the weekend. I mean, I'll quickly do my tournament report. So my tournament started Friday evening at midnight UK time. And you can see that my tournament started at midnight based entirely on my results. I came 3rd, and then 4th, and then 5th, and then 8th, and then I went to bed. Yeah, it was not a terrifically successful tournament. It was still a lot of fun. I'm still really glad I played in it. I still think it was really well run and well organised, and huge props to the team for putting that together, from my perspective, for free on the Discord. I'm really glad that I got to take part. How was your tournament?
Yeah, pretty good. I want to echo the sentiments you're saying. It was a really smoothly organised tournament. There was a 1-hour delay at the start of day 2, and that was the only delay across the entire weekend, which is kind of incredible. Like, the tournament ran very smoothly, way better than, basically any large, compared to a Magic GP or whatever. It's insane how well it went.
This is the comparison I was thinking, is this is like the 2nd or 3rd tournament, certainly the first of this size, that this game has run. And we came out of the Magic the Gathering world, same as every other Storybook player. And you can attend a Magic GP that's like the 15th one that year, and there'll be a 90-minute wait between rounds because went down.
Yep.
The venue will be 6 miles from the nearest corner shop.
Yeah. It really is incredible how, obviously physical tournaments are harder, but yeah, it ran really smoothly. The stream was really solid. I didn't get to catch much of it, but from what I can tell.
Yeah, no, the coverage, I watched all of day 2, the coverage was really solid.
Yeah, in terms of how my tournament went, I went, so day 1, I went 1st, 5th, 1st, 4th, 2nd, 6th. The last game, I knew I was already locked after my previous results, and so I will admit that, it was very late for me at that point. I wasn't paying a huge amount of attention. But, also I did come sick.
Other than the 6th as a Vela, any games stand out to you from day 1? Obviously, it feels like a long time ago now.
I had some insane high rolls for sure. First match, I had a skip start where I bought Brave Princess on 3.1 into Peep and then Mix-a-Whizzle it. And that I then never lost a game from there. I can't even remember what 4-drop I hit, but it meant that I got to win the fight on 3.2, like, easily. And I think I can't slay the pick. I won that fight easily, and then had Brave Princess with 2 slays already and a Peep going forward. Just got to ride strength into strength. By the end, had 2 tier 6 treasures and Golden Good Boy, and well, not quite actual end game comp because I didn't have all ranged units, but no one was close to me in power. Like, I think everyone else would have been on like 6.1. They would have been 6 for 1 turn by the time I won the game or something. Like, it was ridiculous.
Sure. So actually quite an aggressive pod as well.
Yeah, I think in general the tournament was more aggressive just in terms of the damage people were taking. People were much more focused and making sure they're really putting their best foot forward. If you stumble, you die really quickly.
Yes, I certainly found myself adjusting play in the tournament to be like, oh, I just need to be stronger this round. Like, I realised in like round 3, I think I was playing Loki, and I got an XP, and I was like, I haven't bought XP all evening yet. Because I just never felt like I could afford to. I was constantly wanting strength instead of trying to build towards a late game comp or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's true for me as well, for the most part. I still buy Devour a decent amount, but I'm much less likely to buy Wish Upon a Star, for example. Because you won't win a fight if you're down 5 gold. That's just not how that works. Otherwise, my one Slay game where I had upgraded Chupa really early and nothing was ever difficult again, because, man, Chupacabra is a ridiculous unit.
Remember when it was unplayable? Oh,
yeah, nice. I do. Otherwise, nothing really stands out. There's no consistent theme of what I'm doing. All sorts of stuff. all kind of good. After that, moving into day 2.
So we cut to the top, what was it at that point, 128?
Yes, top 128.
Roughly the top 18% of the tournament.
Yes. So I came third as Mad Catter, where I ended up on animals for the looks of it. Yeah, this was one of my many Monkey's Paw games. I'm a huge fan of Monkey's Paw. I know not everyone is.
Yeah, that's the 5-drop treasure, where if you start a minion down, all of your guys get +6/+6.
It's so many stats. It's really, 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 really good. I think I took it 6 times during the tournament and once in the top 8. Like, if you don't think Monkey's Paw is good, yeah, if you don't think Monkey's Paw is good, it is, for sure. So third with Mad Catter, eventually becoming Muerte. A second with Horde Dragon, where I was just doing dwarves. This was my only like proper dwarves game of the tournament. I think dwarves is fine. I know you're much higher on dwarves than I am. I think for the most part, I'm definitely less excited for dwarves than I was last patch. It's fine. You can definitely have very good dwarf starts, but the fact that Princess White never gets bigger than a 45 or whatever, she doesn't get to those 80 stats. She doesn't just win you every fight on tier 4, and I'm much less excited for Princess White than I used to be.
I think the fact that Princess White counts as a Lordy Dwarf means she gets those stats at the end. And she counts both ways. She's also giving those stats to your other dwarves once you get the Lordy. She's no longer awkwardly just sat there as a 77 on the back line.
Once I've got the Lordies, I don't care that much about my stats. Like, with a single Lordy, it's nice that she's not awkward there, for sure. Once you've got double Lordies or whatever, everything's already like a 60-60. It is nice that she has stats, but she's probably smaller than a doubly at that point.
It's true.
She's fine, for sure, but yeah, I'm not high on dwarves.
The commentary team quoted, this really isn't meant to be the Dwarves episode, the commentary team quoted during the top 8 that one of the competitors had forced Dwarves, had told them they had forced Dwarves in basically every qualifying round.
Yes, I had heard that. There was a lot of people in the chats saying, I forced Slay 10 out of 12 rounds, I forced Dwarves in 5 out of 6 rounds in day 1. I can believe them. I don't think it is the optimal strategy. I certainly at no point was forcing things. The only comp I was consistently forcing, I think, would be Hatball's Shenanigans, because it doesn't take that much to take a ball and then look for other tier 3 treasures. Like, that's not a minion dependent comp. This is a treasure synergy, right? Like, I'm still taking whatever minions are good. I'm just looking to assemble that treasure combo. I
agree, and we should be clear here in episode 1 that as a podcast, we do not endorse any kind of forcing strategy. Like, you have to 100% know the meta or get lucky for forcing any kind of comp to work out. Otherwise, you should be drafting what's open, you should be drafting what fits your hero, your treasures.
With a couple of... There are some heroes who are linear enough that you should actually be forcing things. Miri is definitely the premier example of that, where starting from turn 1, I do actually have blinders on. I will not purchase minions that aren't royals. I will buy chickens over higher statted minions because I can sell them into royals later. Miri is the only hero where I actually am blinders on the entire time. But otherwise, yes, no forcing.
Yeah, I agree. There's no hero that justifies forcing dwarves, certainly.
So after my one dwarves game, I played Kata stuff, and fine. Again, Kata's all about stats. I just took the minions that were good. Although I guess it's worth mentioning, I had I catted into a Wombats. Well, if you can get some stats on a Wombats, they are so much better than they used to be. Like in this game, I had Wombats with a Sting in slot 1 that had gained like +5/+5 from Kata's ability. Just summoning a unit with +32/+9 is good, really good. Sometimes it becomes a good boy and you win the lobby for free. It's.
I haven't actually played with Wombats. I'm too scared of them. Like, in the same way that I was scared of Mixwhistle until you told me it was good. Like, anything that's turning something into something else at random, I would much rather have the consistency.
The better way to... The good comparison is actually to Friendly Spirit. The whole point of Friendly Spirit is you get to double down on the stats. This is doing the same thing. But also comes with all of the stats that were inside it.
But it's a colourless 5-drop, not a good 4-drop. Like...
But the upsides of when you roll a unit that was already a 2020, or a Yorm, or if you hit a quest unit, if you hit a Lancelot off it, you get a treasure. Like...
Okay, that's great. obviously.
It's you can do some stuff with it for sure. Then after that, I had I had a completely ludicrous Miri game. Is this top 8 at this point?
Day 2, round 4, I've got you as a Miri first place.
Oh yeah. So top 32. There was cut off for top 32 at this point, where I finished 11th in the 14th going to top 32.
Which is a second huge cut, by the way. This is like top 20% and then top 25% to get to top 32.
Yeah. And importantly, points aren't reset at this point, so coming in strong. Like, there are some people who are coming in at the bottom of the top 32 who are like, I probably can't make top 8 without multiple wins, which is a little rough for them, but I was sitting pretty, and I did really well. So I had this Miri game. I Brave Princessed into a treasure map, which then finished my Nutcracker, it must have been, into the Ark on 4.2.
So the Ark is the new treasure where everyone gets +12/+12 as long as you have a creature from each level.
Yeah. Interestingly, completely textless at the point I picked it up. I'm not going to see a level 6 minion for at least 3 turns. But princesses are one of the comps where actually having a tier 1 and a tier 2 unit in your comp right at the end is completely normal. Because your Brave Princess, your Sure Shot and your Brave Princess, actually in this case, have been sitting there getting Arthur buffs for the whole game, and they're fine to be sitting on your board.
Something that happens with the Ark as well is that by the time you get it, you might have lost your 2-drop by then. If it was some frogs, you might have moved on from it. Obviously, the Sure Shot wasn't going anywhere.
I almost never sell my golden 2-drops these days, because you can mix Resolve Kiss them, but I'm not kidding.
No, that makes sense. Though I don't know how often you're getting Crystal Ball.
Well, yes, but even just Mix Whistle is Mix Whistle is the most powerful combat spell in my opinion. Maybe Pigomorph is better, but it costs 5. Like, any turn I can spend 1 mana to 100, like, incredibly likely win my next fight. I will do that, and Mix Whistle does that if you have a random golden unit sitting on your bench. So, worth mentioning. Especially if it's a scaling one, like Happy Little Tree or Animal Familiar, where the new unit gets the stats as well.
Why would you ever sell a golden Happy Little Tree? That's why it's really hard to gold Happy Little Trees on 3.2 or whatever. Everyone's just holding them in their hands. No one puts them back in the shop at any point.
And then this game wasn't close. I hit Lancelot into Hercules, which is the nuts 5s and 6s, into 2 good boys, and I got a mimic off my Lancelot, so I had 2 26-49 good boys or whatever. No one was close. All my units were upgraded, so I was dealing hits of 18 or whatever. It was a very, very fast lobby. High rolls are nice.
If I figure out how, I will put pictures of Matt's comps in the show notes. If I don't figure out how, I will cut that I ever said this.
Yeah, that's fine. Then I went into my Pied Piper game, first ever Pied Piper game. I went Hat Ball.
This was your winning in for the top 8. I want to be clear here that you had a winning into the top 8. You needed like first, second, or third to lock it.
Well, no. So this is round 5, right? So this is
you had 2 rounds left.
Yeah. So at first we believed would be a lock. The way the game played out, that definitely wasn't true. If I had gone first, 8th, I would have missed by like 3 points, because the cutoff was incredibly high, way higher than all the simulations expected. Worth mentioning that I thought I was locked after my 2 wins, and I wasn't.
Why? What drives that change in figures? It's just a way flatter field than they were expecting?
Yeah, what there wasn't is a bunch of players a long way ahead. So normally you'd expect the top 2 or 3 players to be hogging a lot of the wins, especially in the top 32. If you have someone who's gone first, there's fewer firsts to go around for the 4th to 8th people, so they can get away with a couple of seconds and thirds. That didn't happen. It was a relatively flat top 8, and so it was like 45 down to 4. Like in 8th was 45, and then 9th was 42 or something. Like, it was a big jump. So yeah, I got a first with Pied Piper. I've got a great screenshot of my comp being what looks completely nonsense in the mid game, because I was doing Mix Whistle things. Like, it was Mummy, Stag, upgraded Lordy, Nian, Spellweaver, Hippocampus, Vulture, with Vulture with 2 animals. Like, comp looks completely ridiculous.
To give some sense of the screenshot for the listeners who aren't currently looking at it, what's the spell that you've cast that it looks like you've cast that turn?
That's Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo.
Yes, it looks like you've just cast Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo. I think all of the minions you just said are golden, right? The Lordie's golden, the Stag's golden,
the Vulture
Nyan's
is
golden.
Hilariously, so it's not. It can't even get that big. So yeah, it's
a Vulture who is also here.
Yeah,
and that's the result of you just hatballing a bunch of like Mix-a-Whizzles and Kisses that turn.
Yeah. That's what I'm like. I was taking minions for strength. Like I had Hatball, but I wasn't at this stage forcing mages. Like I had a Spellweaver because I was aware of mages, but I was just taking the minions with stats. It's the good play. Doing a bunch of Mix-a-Whizzles and Kisses. Like I think I must have been animals, right? That's why I've got vultures and hippocamps.
Yes. And like a golden stag. This makes sense.
Yeah. But I've been kissing things and transforming things and doing Hatball stuff. So my comp looks completely nonsense. And by the end, I end up with what still looks like a nonsense comp of Good Boy, Mummy, Aeon as my first 3 units. All good, of course, because that's how it works. And yeah, I ended up Hatball with Singing Sword at the end. I wasn't even like... I had Aeon, so I was kind of mages. I had 100 attack Aeon. I wasn't not mages.
At that point, you're casting level 6 spells, and they're all just free.
So, yeah.
Can't believe you never managed to knight the Aeon. You're a huge disappointment.
Yeah, kind of went off, had a good time. Hatball's really strong. And you can afford to get away with it. Like, a lot of people, I think, once they've got Hatball, try and focus on mages. And I'm telling you, just play stats. You get so many free stats from Hatball. Don't worry about it too much.
Good advice.
So yeah, first in the top 32, and I finished it with a really disappointing 4th from Wonder Waddle. Like, I ended up top of the standings, but really, given how high I rolled in this game, I should not have come any less than first, really. On 2.2, I have Golden Mouse, Regular Mouse, have locked a mouse in the shop, and I've already golded a chicken for an extra treasure along the way. Insane high roll on 3.0 with 2 tier 4 treasures. I'm ridiculous. Of those treasures, I had Moonsong Horn and Forking Rod, so I'm set up to be Hatball. I'm looking really good.
So what went wrong? I'm really interested about how you get from that start to 4th place. Like,
well, at that point, I'm forcing Hatball. Like, I've got both of the really strong support treasures, and Wonder Wall is one of the best heroes at finding Crystal Ball. I think the biggest mistake I made, partly because I was like, this game doesn't matter or whatever, and I'm high rolling. I wasn't focused, perhaps. I was looking for tier 3 triples, and I wasn't, in my head, going for, stags and pigs. Those are the units we want. I was like, oh yeah, two sleeping princess or whatever. I just want pairs of 3-drops. And I should have been going, no, I don't. I want stags and pigs. That's way more consistent, way, way better. I was like tier 5.5 before I was like, oh yeah, stags. Oh god. And I did eventually get the ball, but at that point it was kind of too, like, I had too many units that weren't exciting. Like, I was animals the whole way. I was never mages. I had 113 Storm King or whatever, but the rest of my comp is, I mean, it looks really stupid because of Mix-a-Whizzles, but it was just a bunch of animals fundamentally, and not actually exciting units, because I didn't get the ball in time and I was too focused on really trying to find it. I do think I was meant to try and find it as Wonder Waddle. I just should have used my hero power to do so.
So you weren't losing to like specific comps to like a really good Slays build or whatever. It was just literal stats on the other side of the table, and you hadn't scaled in the mid game as efficiently as you could have.
Like a lot of lobbies in this tournament, I think there was one player who was like extremely busted. I can't remember which comp. I think it must have been Slays. There was definitely someone who was like, here's my board of way too many stats. And that's eventually what killed me. But, yeah, I can't specifically remember what got me there. So that gets me to 45 points? Loads of points. I was joint first in the standings at the end of the top 32.
Very well done.
So going into top 8. At this point, it's like 1 a.m. or something. I am pretty tired.
Yeah, you're on 42 alongside Camber. who the coverage really liked.
It's a great name. It's really awkward in the postings for what it's worth. It's way too long. So in the top 8, game 1, I go Miri. I love Miri. Very happy to see Miri. I do the usual Miri thing of lose a lot, go down to like 14 health, have a turn where my Brave Princess flips, and I hit my first triple. Never lose again. I didn't gold my Arthurs in this game is a big highlight of the thing I really missed, and why I probably ended up third rather than second. But it was also, again, like a lot of lobbies this patch, there was one person who was basically unbeatable. Everyone was losing to them.
That was the person that coverage followed, and
Yes. They were Skip, right? And they ended up with a golden angry before tier 5 or something.
yeah,
Like,
they kissed into a golden angry.
oh, actually, this was one really big mistake I made. So I knew I'd placed Skip. I knew they had golden angry. And on one of the turns where I was going to face Skip, I was trying to flip my Cinderella, and so I cast a 1-mana spell in the shop as my last spell, and it happened to be Earthquake. And I 100% win that fight if I don't cast that Earthquake, even without the 8 bonus stats. The Earthquake was just like +8/+8 to their team.
And they finished with 2 stats left on their final minion. It was brutal.
Yeah, it was. They were absolutely tiny. But yeah, I cast that Earthquake in a really brutal, really brutal. And I, it wasn't hidden information. Oh, I didn't know there were dwarves. I could have been paying more attention. I knew they had this golden angry. They weren't going to have replaced it. They were going to have lent into it almost certainly. I shouldn't have cast it. I would have won that fight. I think that gets me second, not first. I'm not going to beat the strength they had with Royals.
Yeah, once they actually hit the 6-drop scaling, but they hadn't quite gotten there yet on that fight. Like, I think they spent 2 turns rolling before they found the Lordy or whatever.
Yeah, they didn't have a Lord at that point. It was just Angry's and Echowood.
Yeah, so, and they were on like 31 health, so you weren't knocking them out in that fight.
No, but if I had not taken 8 damage or whatever, I survived the final fight versus them, I probably... And then I get a ghost, and win $200 more or something. But yeah. Then we go into the next round. I play Pants. Here, I do the backup Pants strat. I know a lot of people are really hard on Hatball only, but shout out to Lol Nenko, actually my favorite streamer and a really I played so few games. I watched a lot of his stream though, and it really helped me prepare. And one of the things he really highlights for Pants is the backup strat of take treasure map and get a high tier treasure and let that carry you through the mid game. And that's definitely what I did here. My second treasure was treasure map. I then took a monkey's paw, and that was really strong for a long time.
So if you're Pants and you're offered treasure map as your first treasure, you've tripled some 3, you're offered treasure map, hat, ball, what do you take? Do you start moving towards hat ball, or do you say, oh, this is a one treasure way of getting something?
No, it's hat ball by a lot, I think. Especially ball, because there are backup hats. You can find Aeons, you can find Moonsong Horn. But if you're offered what I was offered, which is something like Ring of Revenge, Haunted Helm, treasure map, or whatever, yeah, take treasure map. I think I probably had at least 1 mouse in my hand. I usually do as Pants. If you can get that tier 6 treasure, it can win you the game. But even tier 5s, Monkey's Paw, summoning, Helm of the Gosling or whatever, like you can get treasures that will get you to where you need to be. Tier 6s are better if you can hold off. Maybe you've got a if you have a questing beast and a treasure map and complete your Brave Princess or whatever, that gets you a 6, or just treasure map plus mice is a 6. And then you can get in Beginning Stone and it's a free win.
Which one's in Beginning Stone?
Your tier 2 and tier 3 minions get plus 15. Plus 15.
That's the one that I never take because I'm normally level 6. But if you're Peter Pants, it's great. This makes sense.
Yes, I mean, even if you get it ahead of time at any point, like if that Miri game where I had a tier 6 treasure on tier 4, if you take 3 doublies, they are a 135. And that's good enough, right?
Probably good enough if you're on like tier 4, tier 5, yeah.
Tier 1s with plus 15 aren't that good. Tier 1s and 2s with plus 45 on the triple, those are minions I will play. So that's the trick with Beginning Stone. But you do, if you're already tier 6, you're getting tier 6 minions. So yeah, Peter Pants, I had Paw. I then found 6 more tier 3 treasures without finding hat or ball. Maybe only 5. Like, you do that as Pants sometimes. It's the reason he's not consistently winning all your lobbies. But I can see on my board at least 4 gold 3-drops, and I certainly had more than that. Never got any of the hat ball stuff going. Mediocre minions, ended up 5th. And then for the final match of the top 8, I wasn't Miri, I was Waddle. A weird game as Wonder Waddle, because I ended up Princesses, which is not normal, to be clear.
Well, you got the Frog Prince.
The Frog Prince change. The change of Frog Prince is really big. I want to highlight how good that is for Wonder Waddle, because it used to be one flipped prince, one unflipped prince wasn't a triple. Now it is, which means you can do things like on 3 gold, if you see Brave Princess Frog, buy not Brave Princess. Yeah, the Sure Shot. You see Sure Shot Frog, you can buy the Sure Shot, sell it, buy the Frog, and just have a 5/5 that triples into a 10/10. I didn't want this princess particularly anyway. I'm Wonder Waddle.
Yeah.
This is a really strong thing that I've done.
And 5/5s are huge.
And you don't have to worry about taking more princesses. I, however, got 2 golden Arthurs. So, yes, I moved in on princesses.
I don't remember who the commentary team were watching. I think they were also princesses.
They followed Miri, yes. They started the game following the actual Miri.
Yes, that makes sense. And they were talking about how no one takes the Arthurs anymore. It used to be the case that the Princesses Comp was all about the Arthurs, but we've done this whole thing without Arthurs. Clearly that's not where we're at now that it's a 4-drop minion. And I was like, I think those Arthurs are somewhere, guys.
So yeah, I think I was offered a shop on 4.0 with 2 Arthurs, and then immediately found the 3rd or something, and then was like, okay, fine, we'll just do this. I already had the golden frog or whatever, and just
if you've got a golden frog or a Cinderella, so the Arthur's worth something as soon as you pick one up.
Yeah. Hilariously, on the final turn of the game, I once upon a dreamed into Miri, which confused the commentator quite a lot. But Matt Nass figured it out. Thank you, Matt Nass.
It's not like the Once Upon a Dream wasn't visible on the screen. It's not like it looked like you'd cast Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo. That justifies confusion.
Yeah, Miri does work retroactively now, so it did give my minions at least plus 10, plus 10. I have at least 5 golden, and I think I might have sold some in the past. I must have had at least 1 more, because I have an apple tree for the final comp, which must have been a princess before the final game. But like a lot of lobbies, there was one person with infinity stats, in this case a Headless Horseman, but he had a 250 Lancelot or something, and I can't ever beat that. Ended up 5th. Really heartbreaking final standings for me. 19th, 19 points in the top 8, a 3rd, a 5th, and a 2nd. Not making the top 4 is brutal, but congratulations to everyone in there. Everyone played a really, really good game, and I look forward to facing them all in the fall championships.
Excellent. I look forward to tuning in and rooting for you. That brings us to what was originally going to be our main section for episode 1. So these are my Topland Heroes from 10th through down to 1st very quickly. Then we'll get yours, and then we'll compare any differences. So in at number 10, I've got Pied Piper, because small sample sizes, and there's a chance it's busted. Number 9, I've got Mask. Number 8, Trophy Hunter. Number 7, Mrs. Claus. Number 6, Peter Pants. And then 5, Fallen Angel. 4, Loki. 3, Skip. 2, Waddle. And in at number 1 is Mahiri, the Lion King.
My top 10's a little bit different, but a lot of the same hits there. So in number 10, I've got Trophy Hunter. Number 9, I've got the newly nerfed Ivella. Number 8, I've got Mad Catter. Number 7, Fallen Angel. Number 6, Galahad. 5, Miri. 4, Waddle. 3, Mask. 2, Loki. And number 1, Skip. So I think we want to talk about the main places we stand out here. Right? Our top 5 are basically the same. You have Mask a bit lower.
I've got Mask down at 9, because I just don't think the consistency is there with Mask. People say Skip is like an 8th or 1st, and that's been my experience of Mask as well. I've no doubt that the power is there, that you can get an exceedingly powerful start. But Mask, you have nothing to do on the first 3 turns of the game except acquire stats. And if you just lose those first 3 fights, by the time you have a hero power as Mask, you can be on 20 health, 25 health. Which can make you a lot weaker and make you scrounge for stats when you've just turned into like a Fallen Angel, and what you want to be doing is putting together a comp that enables that. And Fallen Angel's one of the better things to turn into. And then there's always, like, probably more than a 1 in 10, like a 1 in 7 that you hit just nothing or really bad stuff. Or you hit medium stuff and decide to re-roll to try and high roll it and then hit really bad stuff. Like I turned into Muerte the other day.
Yeah.
I didn't want to turn into Muerte.
Yeah, my rebuttal to that, I guess. Well, first of all, I want to mention that some people in the tournament chat were saying they think Mask was worse than it was on ladder, which I think is almost certainly true. In the tournament setting, no one is playing the bad heroes, and they are playing the good heroes. You're much less likely to be offered Skip, Miri, Waddle, because those heroes are taken. Yeah, whereas on ladder, it's people are experimenting with the heroes, people are trying to, plenty of times on ladder, I will take a hero I haven't played very much over a better hero because I'm not feeling it, or, a plethora of reasons. I will say, though, with Mask, it's a combination for me of the ability to ludicrously high roll. If you hit that Skip, you are ridiculous. If you hit Gwen, you're very, very strong. If you hit several heroes, even Grandmother for 10 health and then be another hero is just a really good place to be. And that you say, if you spend the first 3 turns without hero power, half the heroes in the game spend the first 3 turns without a hero power. All 5 of the treasure heroes, that's usually true for. Fallen Angel, that's mostly true for, now that you can't get there with a single cat.
Well, Fallen Angel, you spend the first 2 turns of the game building a comp out of knowing that you're taking good minions or that you need to get a cat and some stuff. Like,
Sure, but
you have direction in those turns.
yeah, but as Mask, I don't need direction. For the first 2 turns, I don't want direction. I know that's actually somewhere where we've disagreed in the past. In the first 2 turns, I want to take Billy Gruff because he's got the most stats, and I don't want to feel bad about it. I want to just take minions with numbers. I don't really care if Happy Little Tree synergizes with what I'm doing. I want stats.
The problem I have with, and this is like, I don't take Billy Gruff very often. Maybe I should take Billy Gruff more often. He's fine.
I take Billy Gruff a lot. It's probably, other than Cinderella, it's probably the 2-drop I want most. Or Flipped Frog, but
yeah, I think I take Unflipped Frogs more than Billy Gruffs. I'll probably take Crafty more than Billy Gruffs, but that's just my own biases. I'll cut.
Yeah, I wouldn't take Crafty, or I wouldn't take Frog Prince without a princess in the same shop most of the
No, I'm happy to take Frog Prince on 1 and then hope to see, because I really want to see a Sure Shot or a Cinderella on turn 2. The problem I was going to say with not having a hero power in the first 2 turns of the game is that you're up against people who do. Right? You're playing against the Waddles and the Mrs. Clauses and the Pied Pipers now, who are just going to be rolling over you in those fights.
Yeah, I mean, that does happen.
I mean, I saw in the top 8 the Mask guy won all 3 of his first fights.
Yeah, like, it's it definitely can happen, but again, some of the top Miri is one of the top heroes, doesn't have a hero power during that stage. Celestial Tiger is a hero I really like, doesn't have a hero power in that stage. Horde Dragon doesn't have a hero power in that stage. Sometimes Wonder Waddle hasn't found a triple at that point. That's completely normal to have not found it in the first 3 turns. Yeah, yes, sometimes you consistently lose all 3 of those fights. Sometimes you don't. It's okay. And yeah, the fact that you get so many, the odds that you're offered 8 bad heroes is just so unlikely. It's so hard to see 8 heroes and be like, none of these are any of the ones I want.
Maybe my problem with Mask is that I don't settle enough, is that I wouldn't do this with Fallen Angel, but I take Tiger on the first one, and I'm supposed to then say, right, I'm Tiger, and what I do instead is I roll my second Mask. Because the chances that you're offered 4 5 out of 10 heroes, and then 4 3 out of 10 heroes, is much higher. Like, you don't need to have seen 8 3s, you just need to see 4 3s in the second set.
I mean, the comparison is every single game at the start, you're offered 4 heroes, and what percentage of the time are you playing a C tier hero? Like, it's low. Like, there's a reason I've never played most of the D tier heroes. You just don't have to take them very often. And I know it's a little different because all of the good heroes are, in theory, removed from the pool. But still, I have found Mask consistent and powerful.
Okay, that's one of the ones that you've got a lot higher than me. You've got Mahiri down in 5th.
The issue with Miri for me is it's really consistently second. Like it in the way that Peter Pants is often claimed to be consistently top 4, but rarely first. I think I feel the same about Miri. Like Princess, I do have a first from the tournament with Miri, but usually princesses can't, even without a lot of Arthurs, your princesses can't outscale the people who get to tier 6, get to stabilize, get synergistic treasures, or we're just doing scale, like both Hatball and Slay outscale you really, really hard. I don't find the fail case of Miri very relevant at all. I have almost never played Miri and been like, well, I just never found a single princess. That just is so far from my experience.
The closest to the fail case for Miri that I can think of that actually does happen is... So as Miri, you lose a bunch of early fights because you've got nothing going on until you get your triples going. And then you're just on the cusp of turning the corner and you hit the most powerful person in the lobby and they're a brick wall.
That can happen for sure.
It's not likely because two back-to-back things have to happen. You have to both be slow to get your hero power online because there's also nut draws as Mahiri. There's draws where you have it going by 3.1 and you can't lose.
Yeah, certainly. Or those games where you trigger it 9 times or something and it's like, all my minions are ridiculous.
Yeah. There's still those nut high draws, but you have to both get a low draw and a low roll, and probably roll quite low in the fight as well.
If your Brave Princess never ever gets there, that's certainly one of the ways that you can suffer quite badly. Like, you should definitely buy Brave Princesses Miri. You should definitely put the effort in to make sure it flips. But sometimes it just doesn't, because that's how Slay minions work. And it sucks when that happens, but Cinderella is you should at some point find Cinderella, and that's 100% chance that you can, over time, flip that Cinderella, and that's an on-ramp.
Yeah, and she's free, you just get your gold back if you...
Oh, and don't take Court Wizards, they're a huge trap. That's the other thing to say with Miri, they suck.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I'll take them once you've got a good boy. Once you've transitioned out of I'm all royals.
Yeah, for sure. They should end up in your final comp, but on tier 4, you're playing royals as another champion. You see a Court Wizard, you're excited. You take it. I don't take it as Miri. I don't really take Godmother either. I want royals.
That is... Like, we mentioned that Miri is the only hero that we're committed to forcing as a podcast. And I think, yeah, it's a huge... Roll for your royals. I don't care that I'm a minion down. I'm fine. I just need royals. Show me the stats so I can start snowballing them together. Do you have another area of difference you want to criticize me on for our top 10s?
I mean, you're missing Mad Catter, which I know you've said you haven't had the experience with.
Yeah, Mad Catter is fundamentally not a hero that I've played enough to be sure of my opinion of. I've lost to Mad Catter a lot. That's been my experience of Mad Catter. You've got Galahad on your list. He's not on mine. Is that typical?
Oh, wow. I didn't even notice that. I know plenty of people who put Galahad in their top 3. Like, I think Galahad's extremely strong. But in a similar way to Miri, there's definitely the comparison. Like, one of our friends recently posted a picture where he just died before he ever found a treasure. And my main thought was, he probably went too hard on just taking bad minions and then trying to triple them. Even as a treasure-based hero, if you don't have any treasure, don't take crafties. They don't do anything. Take the minions that are strong, then look to triple those. And the quest minions, that's the other thing, is that the fail case, again, is always, what if I don't find any triples? Find a Cinderella. It's really easy to flip Cinderella. So easy. And you'll find her.
The thing about the quest minions that I didn't realise is when you've bought one, the shop never offers you that quest minion again, which means there's one in the shop for everybody. Your Cinderella is out there, and you can find her and take her.
Yes. In the rare case that someone holds on to a golden Cinderella, there are less in the shop for you. But again, that people sell their Cinderellas, I certainly do. Otherwise, Galahad, go for the triples. They're super worth it. Do go for minions that scale well with +2/+1. Happy little trees.
I was going to say, as Galahad, how important is taking minions that want the +2/+1 versus just taking what's good and waiting for the triple or the quest?
Yeah, I play for stats almost always. Like, I would much rather... Happy Little Tree is better with the Galahad buff than Billy Gruff. But I'm taking Billy Gruff because it's a strong minion. I might take Unicorn over Billy Gruff because it scales better and they're roughly equivalent in stats. But yeah, don't take bad units. Take good units. Don't take crafties because they're good when you get the treasures. Once you've got the treasures, you'll be strong.
Great news is I found the subtitle for today's episode. It's "Don't take bad units." Such good advice.
Don't necessarily take good units. Evil units are fine too, but don't take bad ones. Yeah, Galahad, you find treasures. It's quite easy to do. Don't worry about too much about what they are. Certainly, hold your chicken pairs. Hold your woggles or whatever, because they're a good unit they're a cheap unit to triple. That's just good advice.
This is a mechanical question. Does Galahad's ability pump up everything in your hand and everything on your board?
Yeah. There's nothing in the game that pumps up your whole board but not in your hand, because weird positioning to cast a spell or whatever would be horrible.
It does sound horrible. Well, hang on. If you monster book into a spell that's +1/+1 to your team, does that do your hand?
In combat fights will only affect the units. So, if you have a deck of wonders.
And Galahad will still trigger even if you skip?
Yes. Oh, yes. You should be skipping a lot. That's actually another thing with basically all of the treasure heroes. Definitely Miri and Galahad. I skip all the time. I think
skipping as Miri is so much better. It's more chances to find royals. My treasure was that everyone has +2/+2. I got 2 power orbs as my treasure. That'll do.
Skip might be the best tier 2 treasure. I'm not gonna say that I don't skip 100% of the time.
It might be the best tier 2 treasure in the early game. In the late game, there's Hermes boots or ring if you're dwarves or whatever.
Yeah, I don't do that all the time, but it is very frequent that I skip tier 2 treasures. I skip tier 3 treasures a fair amount, especially if you've got a quest that's about to tick and you're going to replace it quickly. Skip's great. Don't underuse skip.
Don't sleep on your skips.
Both the hero and the treasure.
It's true. He's in both of our top 3s. We've got Loki and Waddle. Just looking at these lists now, we've got Loki and Waddle sort of perfectly switched.
Lifetime, my Loki stats are completely obscene. Something like 2.0 average placement with Loki. I don't know how people say they roll low with him. Come on. You obviously can, but the odds that you present a 7 minion board on 2.2 is it happens a lot and is ridiculous. And the fact that you're not a very good late game hero is fine. You were so strong. You got XP for free. The amount of gold you generate from free spells.
I would describe Loki as gold generation, especially in the mid game. You can get to the late game as Loki and be like, my hero power was medium at the start. I didn't really have a hero power this game. And you haven't realized that you just had a free +2/+2 to everything in the shop, and you lightning bolted something last round, and all of that effort that other people are putting in to trying to cast spells that make them good, and you're just getting it. It's just there, going on in the background.
It is unfortunate he can't go for Hat Ball, especially on a patch where Hat Ball is quite good, but that's fine. Not much else. I would refute your Mrs. Claus and stuff, but there's not much. I know a lot of people think Mrs. Claus is fine. I used to think, she's probably 12th or something for me. It's fine that she's up there for you.
Yeah, my section in the middle is, I would my top section, the Mahiri, Waddle, Skip, Loki. Those are your busteds, and then in the middle, it's all about consistency. These are the minions that I think are going to most consistently do their thing. Fallen Angel, Peter Pan's, Mrs. Claus.
Sure.
It's really hard to not have a hero power as any of those guys. It's pretty impossible to not have a hero power as Pan. And then down at the bottom are the heroes that are potentially busted but quite swingy. It's Trophy Hunter, Mask, Pied Piper.
Interesting. Yeah, sure. That's a fun way of looking at it.
Pied Piper is swingy because I don't know yet. I've played it twice.
Yeah, I mean, Avella is kind of in the unknown. I could definitely believe that Piper makes it my way up again. It was really good for me the one game I played in the tournament. I played against some strong Pipers. I've played one game lifetime. Can't give strong opinions there.
Cool. So we will come back and we will revisit Piper in the coming weeks. I'm prepared to call that a show.
Yeah, I think so. That was good.
Crushed it. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Jethro. His name is Matt. You can track us down on the Discord. I'm Jethro. He's Sythesys. And you can follow the podcast on Twitter at 7th Tier Podcast. We'll be back next week with exactly the same content, except we'll be saying different words. Until then, never forget, don't play the bad cards. Have a good week.